Yo, what is up, guys? And welcome to another episode of Becoming a Wild Rift Expert. And oh boy, do I have a good game for you guys. You better grab your popcorn because this is a game that was played in Latin America between STM and Esports, who I'm sure you guys are familiar with as they appeared during the Wild Rift Icons. And then against VenTrue Inc., who is a bit of an not known team yet. But I really think these guys have some great stuff to show us. And this game in particular, I find this one very interesting because both drafts have very interesting win conditions and both teams play the game very interestingly. Like, I really want to dissect this game and show you guys what these guys do because it's really interesting to watch, and I'm sure we're all going to learn a lot from it. So let's start with the mid lane matchup because I feel like this is very important in this game, which is between Zhao on the Khazadin and then Nadi on the Jace. And you guys should kinda know how this matchup should go, which is Nadi on the Jace needs to abuse Khazadin, right? He needs to be really pushing him under his turret, getting out those ganks with the Rengar, you know, pushing, roaming around, helping in the jungle. That's what Jace has to do. You can see he is pushing here, but he's struggling with mana. One thing he's not really doing well here is his mana management. Like, if you look at Zhao, he's constantly using his second ability to last hit minions, which is really good for his mana. But if you look at Nadi, he's really using up a lot of mana to push out that wave, which, you know, is really not going to allow him to pressure Zhao a lot. Like, look at this here, you know, he's jumping in, but he ran out of his mana. He used every single ability, and now he doesn't have mana anymore. So Nadi is kind of forced to go back now, which essentially gives Zhao a free level 5. Like, Zhao hasn't struggled at all during his lane and got to level 5 for free. He did go for the healing item first, which gives him 150 health instead of going for a magic book. That's a tip that I have for you guys, by the way. Right now in Wild Rift, this is just a general tip. Health is more important than armor and magic resist, because in Wild Rift, as of the time that I'm recording this video right now, champions have a lot of base armor and magic resist, a lot of base armor, magic resist, but they don't have a lot of base health. So actually Xcandro, which is a good friend of mine, made an amazing video about this. Like, I'm not sure what it's called, but I'll try to think about it. But he actually showed that in Wild Rift, you're really much better off getting health. Like, get a lot of health, and then it becomes worth to get armor and magic resist. So just a very interesting fact. And if you didn't know why the hell Zhao on an AP champion would get the healing item first, that is exactly why. Same goes for Galio, right? Like, that's why he goes for that item. And you'll see it happen a lot. And when you're playing the game, for example, if you're playing Gragas and you want to go for Rod of Ages, don't get the magic book. Get that health item, the tier 1 health item, which gives you 150 health, and it's massive. It's absolutely massive. So let's talk about further win conditions, right? If we look at STM Esports, they're very good at like catching out one enemy, and in particular a diving enemy. They really did a good job countering out the Rengar draft, because let's try to think about what happens if a Rengar goes into the composition of STMN, right? First of all, Fiora destroys Rengar. Rengar can never kill Fiora. Secondly, let's look at Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao can push Rengar away. Third of all, let's look at Khazadin. I guess Rengar can catch Khazadin, but even Khazadin is pretty good into Rengar because he can silence him. If Zhao plays it properly, he silences the Rengar exactly when he goes in, and then he can run away, right? Like, it's a 1-second silence. Varus hard counters it as well. He can use his Chains of Corruption, which is his ultimate, to stop the Rengar. And then Galio is perhaps the biggest counter to that Rengar. So STM did a great job countering out this Rengar composition, right? Like, I honestly have no idea how Giant can do team fights in this game. Like, what he should do is constantly gank side lanes, because if you didn't know, Rengar has a passive. Whenever he gets a unique takedown, which is a kill or an assist, he permanently increases all of his damage by 5%, or his attack damage, sorry, by 5%. 5%. So if he gets 5 unique takedowns, he increases his total attack damage by 25%. Which is huge. And here we have a crazy engage, and it's actually STMN coming out on top. This is the Chains of Corruption that I'm talking about. Giant tried to go in, but he wasn't able to do anything. He tried to kill Gomelo, but he just couldn't do it because Gomelo used his ultimate, the Chains of Corruption of Varus, and then you just can't run away anymore. And now this is a dragon which goes over to STMN Esports, and this is honestly horrible for VenTrue, because, like, if you get to the late game, you're gonna struggle as that composition of VenTrue Inc. You know what's funny, guys? Do you know what's funny? I'm gonna ask you guys to test your knowledge for this one. And I want you guys to open your eyes wide open for this one. And you have to get this one right, okay? VenTrue Inc.'s composition, I would say, are stronger in the late game. They have the Jax, you know, Rengar is a late game champion. Lucian Nami has a lot of sustain, burst, and CC. But VenTrue Inc.'s composition has one very big flaw which STMN can abuse by getting a certain thing in the game. You guys need to get this one. What is the big flaw in VenTrue Inc.'s composition which STMN can really abuse in the late game? This is like, don't think too hard about it. It is an easy question, so it has an easy answer. Just look carefully and answer the question. Test your knowledge, pause the video. I honestly really want to see what you guys think about this one. I want to see what you guys come up with. Because I'm going to let you know right now. Composition of VenTrue Inc. is a full attack damage composition, guys. And this is honestly such a big flaw. Because first of all, Voinen on the Galio is going to become unkillable. Because when he uses his second ability, he already becomes super tanky. And when he goes for full AD items, or full armor items, he's never gonna die. Next up, Gomello, Zhao, Lazing, with that, any of them can get the armor boots. And they're like, the value of the armor boots is infinitely stronger against a full AD composition. Because you're literally not dealing with any AP. I mean, only Wizard on the Nami is doing some AP damage, but it's really not that much. You can see he's kind of desperately trying to build a lot of AP by going for the Rod of Ages, so he deals some, a little more damage. But it's just not worth it. And here you can see it again. Giant is just struggling like crazy on that Rengar against this composition. Like, you struggle so much against the Galio and the Varus who have so much CC against you. He really needs to go for those Mercury threats to stop that CC. So that's the one big flaw. And also STMN, they get those Death's Dances, right? They have Withstat on the Fiora, Lazing on the Xin Zhao. These are two champions that can get a Death's Dance. And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm 90% sure both of them are supposed to build a Death's Dance. It seems like Lazing is actually not going for the Death's Dance. It seems like he's going for the Divine Thunder, but like Withstat on the Fiora should 1,000,000% go for a Death's Dance second. Because like, it's just so unbelievably powerful against this full AD composition. Like, you're gonna be so tanky. The problem is as well, VenTrue Inc. doesn't have any true damage, so they can't shred through the armor. There is literally no counter to it. Like, and they don't even have a Black Cleaver yet. It's crazy. Like, VenTrue Inc. needs to get a Black Cleaver very soon. And the one that needs to get it is Nadi on the Jace. He's the one that needs to get the Black Cleaver, and he actually went for a Hull Breaker first. So very likely Nadi is gonna swap lanes. He's gonna go to the side lane and try to apply pressure. Now, this is a nice thing for VenTrue Inc. to do. And while I'm talking, STM is fighting, and yet again, you can see Giant is getting caught. And wow, Withstat actually died off. That was a crazy team fight, but still, like, you can still see the problem of the Rengar, right? The Rengar was barely able to survive. That was just not a fortunate fight for STMN right there, but very well played by VenTrue Inc. to catch him out right there. So what I was gonna say is, Nadi on the Jace, he should be split pushing, right? He's playing Jace, he's very strong at 1v1s with the Hull Breaker. He can actually beat out Withstat on the Fiora at this stage of the game. So he should be split pushing instead of being with his team, because he does have that Hull Breaker. Both mid lane turrets are up as well, by the way, and like, this is the most important objective in the game. Like, I always say this, that the mid lane turret is the single most important objective in the game. Even more important than Rift Herald, even more important than the first Dragon. Like, mid lane turret is the first mid lane turret. I'm only talking about the first one. It's so unbelievably important. Like, you really always want to get that one. Okay, yeah, exactly. Nadi is going on the side lanes now. Withstat and Lazing are not going for the Death Stance. Interesting. Now, I find that very interesting, because they're against this full AD composition, and yeah, very interesting actually. Like, a Death Stance would make them so unbelievably powerful, but it seems like they're actually just going for even more damage. They're prioritizing damage over the Death Stance. So it seems like they just really want to blow up the Rengar when he goes in, right? Like, the idea of STMN Esports composition, which they're fully executing right now, is Rengar goes in. Like, look, he's ulting again. But like, how do you engage? How do you engage? You see he engages, but like, what can he do? What can he do besides that? If he went all in, Voinen on the Galio would have just used his second ability. And here you can see it again. The Chains of Corruption. This is all because of the Varus ultimate. What can you do? Like, you need a QSS. You need that Quicksilver enchant against that. When you're playing that Lucian, you need to get that Quicksilver enchant. And like, it's just so crazy to see how this composition is working out so well for STMN Esports. Like, VenTrue Inc. is not playing badly. They're actually playing pretty well. But it's just STMN that has the draft. And I prefer their draft so much over the draft of VenTrue Inc.'s Esports. Because first of all, they're up against a full AD composition. Secondly, they can deal so easily with that Rengar. So like, it's essentially as if you're like in a 6 versus 4 composition. Because like, how do you just can't play this game as a Rengar? VenTrue Inc. is starting off this dragon, and STMN, you know, they know this is happening. They definitely know this is happening. But VenTrue Inc. is just bursting it down. It seems like STMN is not even doing anything about it. Yeah, STMN is just giving it away. So STMN doesn't seem to bother with it, which I find interesting because I feel like they could have definitely fought that, especially because they had a Varus, which they gave it away. It's not the end of the world. Dragons are really not that strong anymore, just so you guys know. Like, dragons got nerfed yet again, so it's okay to give out a dragon to the enemy. Like, don't suicide in game just to give away dragons, right? It's actually Giant on the Rengar who's going for the Death Stance. I actually really like this Death Stance pickup because, as I said, STMN's composition, it's gonna do so much burst damage to him, and Giant is also a burst damage champion. He's playing Rengar, right? Like, let's see how he goes in again. You see, like, he just what can he do? He can't go in. VenTrue stopped the Rift Herald, by the way, which saved them mid lane third, which is huge. But like, I'm honestly constantly putting my eyes on Giant because I just want to see how he goes in. I honestly just want to see how he goes in. I'm fascinated if he can actually pull it off, because I honestly don't think there is a single way for him, if STMN doesn't screw up, to go in with a Rengar. But Death Stance is definitely a good pickup for him because if he gets bursted down, at least he can delay some of the damage. And then if his team follows up, right, like if the team follows the Rengar up and they get a kill or an assist, Giant on that Rengar is going to heal it back up, because that's how Death Stance works. So that's why I really like this pickup of the Death Stance. What I don't like as much, maybe my personal preference, is the Rod of Ages on Nami, because first of all, it's quite slow. Secondly, you're missing out on the Ardent Sensor, right? When you have a Jax, a Rengar, a Jace, and a Lucian in your team, who are 4 champions who really benefit from the Ardent Sensor, I would think that Ardent Sensor is really gonna be a priority item for you to get, right? But like, as I said, the risk you're taking then is you not having a lot of ability power. So Wizard seems he wants to do damage, right? He also wants to do damage because you have this full AD composition. Again, like, you have this full AD composition. I don't really know how it went through the draft like this, but yeah, let's see how it goes for Wizard then, because he is definitely going to do more damage in the later game, but he's just missing out on that Ardent Sensor spike, right? So what Giant should do, which is exactly what he's doing actually, is just trying to catch off someone. Like, try to catch off someone in the enemy jungle. He tried to do it, he didn't succeed, he just wasted, well, he didn't really waste his ultimate. It was actually a nice try. Like, this is really what he has to do in this game right now, because teamfights are not gonna work for him. So he has to try to catch out someone in the jungle. And with the recent changes in Wild Rift to the ultimates, it is definitely better to how do I say this? To not save your ultimate. So like, kind of randomly use it. Like, for example, you know, the Rengar randomly using his ultimate because he could have caught someone. The reason that it's better now is because Riot reduced all the cooldowns of all the ultimates. They did this so people can use their ultimates more often. So like, when you're playing Varus, for example, use your chain of corruption. Don't try to wait for it perfectly, just use it, because even if you can waste a flash for it, it is totally worth it, because the cooldowns are so much lower now on the ultimates. By the way, guys, you can see Ervoinen on the Galio. He went for the Ishtali Sea Jar. You know what's funny about this item? The base stats are so unbelievably good that support players get this item just for the base stats. I believe it gives you like 425 health or something, and what, like 25 ability haste, maybe something like that. And it only costs like 2500 gold. It's one of the cheapest items in the game, and it gives one of the best stats in the game. And then as a little bonus, you also have, you know, the Ishtali Sea Jar. You can pick up the seeds. You have another honey fruit. You have another vision plant. So it's just, it's actually such a good item to make you tanky. And like, here you can see, you know where you can perfectly see STMN capitalize on this full AD thing of VenTrue Inc., which is the item Ervoinen went for right now, which is the Frozen Heart. And I'm sure it froze the hearts of VenTrue Inc., because this item in particular is gonna be such a menace to deal with for VenTrue Inc. Because first of all, it gives Ervoinen so much armor. I believe the item gives like 70 armor or something, and it reduces the attack speeds of everyone around him by 20%. 20%, and Ervoinen on the Galio is constantly gonna be in the middle of everything. This is such an incredibly smart pickup for Ervoinen, and like, this is really gonna make the lives of VenTrue Inc. super hard, because like, first of all, Ervoinen is gonna be unkillable. Secondly, all of the players of VenTrue Inc., because the range is actually pretty huge, Their armors is gonna be reduced by 20%. Unbelievable. No, not armors reduced. Their attack speed is gonna be reduced by 20%. Sorry, guys. Right here with that, he should win this 1v1. Like, Fiora against Jax late game should be a win for Fiora because Fiora does a lot of true damage. So even when Jax uses his ultimate, Fiora still should be able to just shred right through it with the true damage. Where's the Rengar? There he is. He tried to ult again, you see? Like, he's constantly, desperately trying to ult, but he just can't find it. But another thing that I want to talk about between these compositions is the sustain. VenTrue Inc. has much more sustain than STMN because they have that Nami. If we have a long sustaining fight, Nami with the font of life, with the redemption, she's really going to be able to out-heal anything STMN has. So like, if we look at sustain, VenTrue Inc. should win the sustain game. But of course, STMN is not going to go for sustain fights, right? Like, they really want to burst down someone from VenTrue Inc. So let's see, I believe a fight should happen here. Both teams are really looking for blood. Giant just used his ultimate again, and he goes in. Oh, beautifully played by Withstead by blocking it with the right post, but it's not quite enough. Look at that Chains of Corruption, by the way. The Chains of Corruption was huge, but there you can see it. VenTrue Inc. caught off Withstead on the Fiora. They just went all in. They used a lot of stuff to kill that Fiora, and they did it. Very, very well played by them. They actually made the Rengar work, and now Sirius is seriously going to be pushing that top lane. He has the Hull Breaker as well. It's actually 2 Hull Breakers on VenTrue Inc. And this is very, very good for VenTrue Inc. They're applying pressure everywhere. Mid lane, top lane. They just secure 2 turrets and they're clearing out the entire blue jungle of STMN Esports. This is huge for VenTrue Inc. They're getting so much golden experience. They're getting so much map pressure. But Sirius is... Ooh, he nearly got caught out, but played that Jax very, very well. Used his first ability to escape as well, and he's all good. So this was just such a massive win for VenTrue Inc. It was actually so massive that VenTrue Inc. is actually ahead in gold right now. So when everyone goes back now, they're gonna get so many items. You can see it's Solari Charge Blade for Githian. That's more defense for Wizard. He's actually going for Athene's Unholy Grill. Yeah, I get it. I get why he goes for Athene's Unholy Grill, because that provides even more sustain for the composition of VenTrue Inc. He has the Rod of Ages, which gives a lot of ability power, so he's going to be able to very easily stack up the Athene's Unholy Grill by damaging the enemy, and he can then constantly heal up his team. The problem I see for VenTrue Inc. is, though, that they don't really have real tanks. Like, Jax is not a real tank, Rengar is not a real tank, and Jace is not a real tank. If you look at the opposite side, Galio is a real tank. Like, he's super tanky. Other examples of real tanks are like Garen, you know, Nautilus, those kinds of champions, Shan, but these are not real tanks. Right here should be this should be a death for Withstead, right? Withstead should die, right? He's not gonna die, is he? Yeah, very, very well played by Ervonian on that Galio. Like, you can clearly see how important the Galio is for STMN. Sirius is probably gonna die here. I mean, he's just trying to run away, just getting some minions. Oh, there's the Blast Comb over there. Oh, he nearly escaped through the Blast Comb. But that's another Chains of Corruption, and yep, another death. Oh, Sirius got the Blade of the Rune King as well. Like, I feel like VenTrue needs to apply side lane pressure. They have 2 Hull Breakers, especially when you have that Jax. Side lane pressure is absolutely huge with that composition. I don't think they win 5 versus 5s against this comp of STMN. Like, you just don't have the right champions for it. You know, Jace in the late game is not going to do much. Rengar against this comp is not going to do much. They need to kind of catch out STMN. They need to go for side lanes, get those pick-offs. Those kinds of things are the things that they need to do to win this game. Not, like, I really wouldn't say teamfights, because even though VenTrue Inc. has better sustain, I just don't think it's enough. Like, you're just never really going to kill Ervoinen, and how do you get through the Chains of Corruption? You know, then you have Zhao, which dives your backline. Like, here you can see it again. Githian goes in, he does block the Chains of Corruption, but still, like, you waste your ult for the Varus ult, you're just never gonna be able to get any further than that. And it's an Elder Dragon that's spawning, actually. I kind of want to see VenTrue Inc. try to rush it down. Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to see them try to rush it down. If STMN doesn't respond to it, you know, they can just rush it down, because they have a Rengar who gets it super duper fast. But it seems like STMN is definitely responding to it. That's some great poking by Gomelo, by the way. Wizard is just healing himself back up because he's playing Nami. Oh, and that's Sirius on the opposite side of the map while a team fight is happening. This is a 4 versus 5 VenTrue Inc. against STMN. But the Sirius is not here. You can see, this is the sustain that VenTrue Inc. has. all of the players from STMN are actually a little low, except for Ervoinen because he has a Warmok. They actually go in a 4 versus 5 and they get blasted. They absolutely lost the team fight. What is happening? Why is VenTrue going in? They're just going into a 4 versus 5 and now Sirius comes. He didn't even push a top lane there. This is horrible for VenTrue Inc. They didn't communicate properly and the idea was great. Sirius could split push side lane, right? He could apply a lot of pressure on the Baron lane, but they just weren't on the same page. And then STMN caught them off guard. Ooh, Sirius on that Jax hover. Oh, that was close. With stat. There you can see it. Like if your micro game is good on Fiora, you can outplay so many champions. Because you know the riposte, if you time the riposte properly, if you use your flash properly, if you proc your vitals properly, if you proc your ultimate properly, like those are the things that Fiora has to be able to do. It's a very high skilled champion, but if you can do it all, then you'll get results like that. Where you kill the enemy, you proc your ultimate. The beauty of Fiora, you know what the beauty of Fiora really is? After you kill an enemy with your ultimate and like the enemy ignited you or something and that enemy would have killed you, it doesn't work because Fiora's ultimate heals you right back up. So like all you have to do with Fiora is win the grand challenge, proc your ultimate, and then whatever happens after, like the grand challenge is gonna heal you up so you don't die after you win the fight. So like I really love that about Fiora. And now it's an Elder Dragon over to STMN and this is horrible for VenTrue. They have to survive for a few minutes now because that Elder Dragon is gonna hurt a lot. And the Baron as well, who... This is gonna be 2 minutes of absolute hell for VenTrue Inc. They have to somehow, some way survive this. And then very, very nice of Withstat to split push this. Withstat on the Fiora has that hull breaker. He doesn't actually join his team, he's split pushing top. He can get 2 turrets for free. On the opposite side, it's Sirius in the bot lane, who's kinda trying to sneak a win right here. So what VenTrue Inc. wants to do now is they kinda wanna fight, but it doesn't work because Withstat went back already. So the reason that I was saying that they kinda wanna fight is because they don't want STMN to go back, but Withstat on the top lane already went back, and as you can see, he's already taking care of Sirius. With that Elder Dragon, it's just a piece of cake, and that should be game. So like VenTrue Inc. played this game pretty well, but just a few mistakes, a few macro mistakes absolutely cost them the game. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Becoming a Wild Rift Expert, and yeah, I will see you all in the next Wild Rift video. Bye bye.